Hi there. So, I have this overwhelming feeling that there's just something that I just have to talk about. I'm having a hard time remembering what it is, though. It could just be this little fact right here that I just voted in my first presidential election, and we now know who is going to be running the country for the next 4 years. Not running the country, but having enough influence to make people think that he does run the country. Really and truthfully, the president gets more power than he really should. I mean, he should really only be in charge of that one branch with a little bit of leeway onto the other two branches of government. But ignoring that fact, let's get on to talking about the actual who is elected, why it's good, why it's bad, and maybe who should would have been better. First off, congratulations, President Obama. I am very glad that he is the president. I can't say that I would have rather had him than anyone else. While I am glad he is the president, we need to get on to why it could have been better. This presidential election was not come down to who was the best of two great men, but who was the least worst of two decent men. And really, the only reason I am happy and glad that Obama was voted president and why I also voted for Obama was because if Mitt was elected president, the next 2 years would be taken to undo everything that President Obama had done to restart from scratch. And no matter how bad of a plan, I mean, how bad can a plan of the president be? But no matter how bad of a plan it is, you have to admit that keeping going and building on what has been done instead of completely demolishing everything and starting from scratch, the second one's just not a good option to go on. I'd rather truly have a decent president who's going to keep on doing the same things than a great man who's going to tear down everything that's been done for the past couple of years to start from scratch. That to me just isn't a smart move to do. As far as what I think the next 4 years are going to be like, I really and truthfully can't tell you. It'll probably be more of what we had the past 4 years, and if you don't like that, I'm sorry. It's better than it could have been, really and truthfully. We need a great man. We need unity. No matter which side you are for, you have to admit this presidential election has been completely divided. It has split America in two, it seems like. Not to mention the fact of everything else that seems to be going wrong with the country. The fact that whenever Congress tries to make a bill, they can't because half of them will not vote it in, not because they disagree with it, but because it's not their party's bill. And when you get people who are voting for an idea of Republican or Democrat instead of having people that vote for what they believe is right, it's not going to work. You're going to have constant bickering with nothing going further. I rather have just one person with all over power that can say this is the way it's going to be so that we can actually get somewhere and get something done than to have these two parties constantly bickering with each other, not even trying to make amends. It gets me really heated sometimes. I really wish that Americans would just unite on at least one thing, that we can settle one problem. One little tiny problem, please. At the rate things are going, it's hard to find hope in America. Knowing that Obama was re-elected president and that he will continue to do the policies that he has worked the past 4 years to start up, and that the Senate is also Democratic. I'm not sure about the House. Don't think the House is also Democratic. But if the House is also Democratic, then that would be great, and maybe we can actually get something done. I hate to say that. I'm glad that it's Democratic and not has good people necessarily. But that's the only way anything's going to get done is by one party having control on everything. Knowing that Obama was re-elected president and that he will continue to do the policies that he has worked the past 4 years to start up, and that the Senate is also Democratic. I'm not sure about the House. Don't think the House is also Democratic. But if the House is also democratic, then that would be great, and maybe we can actually get something done. I hate to say that I'm glad that it's democratic and not has good people necessarily, but that's the only way anything's going to get done is by one party having control on everything. It's really stupid, but that's the way it is, and it makes me cry a little bit inside. America's way of doing things is a great idea. So is communism. You can have a great idea, but if it's the wrong people in charge and the wrong way of doing that great idea, you're never going to get anything accomplished. Communism was the perfect example of that. Everybody was supposed to have the exact same amount. If there's, 100 people in the government, everybody gets 1% of the government, of all the earnings, of all the wealth. That is true equality among men. But then you get communism, which is now seen as one of the worst systems of government in the world because it's so easy to corrupt. Here, we have the American policy, which is a different way, but still equally is great for making everyone as equal. When you have certain people in power and the certain kinds of media that are going to tear the country into two halves, never worked before and it will never work in the future. And the fact that we're trying to make it work now is quite pitiful. I wish that we could just go through and elect the people that should be in power and not the people that actually get nominated and elected to be in power. Please, I would love it if you would subscribe and watch these. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Have a great day, and I hope to see you soon.